So you might be asking yourself, should I be eating a low-fat diet or a low-carbohydrate diet? And I'm going to tell you, it's up to you. You can choose. If you're someone who avoids meat or doesn't eat a lot of meat and fat and things like that, and you're more of maybe even a vegetarian or a vegan, you're probably going to follow more of a low-fat diet because your diet is going to be very rich in carbohydrates. You're going to be eating more grains. You're going to be eating quinoa and more beans and more starchy things and maybe some more bread, tortilla shells, things like that. You want to make sure that you're not going overboard with the fat because of what we talked about in the last video, the sugar-fat combination, which is optimal for fat storage. However, people who tend to eat more of a low-fat diet will find they will be hungry more frequent. You might not be able to eat just 2 planned feedings. You may have to add a 3rd feeding or a snack in the middle. Just plan ahead, plan it into your plan. That being said, people who tend to follow a little lower carbohydrate diet, they're not eating the bread and the pasta and the desserts, and maybe they've even limited, fruit a little bit. They may find that they're not hungry as frequently because they tend to become more of a fat burner as opposed to more of a carb burner. So it might even just be easier if you're only doing 2 planned feedings a day to stick more with a low carbohydrate diet on a regular basis. You will have days or maybe a weekend where you're going to have more carbohydrates coming in. On those days, just plan that you keep the fat low. The main thing is that the sugar and fat are not coming in together. I want to point out that they now make like tortilla shells and bread and all of these things that are lower in carbohydrate. They are usually still using white flour and adding extra gluten. So for people who are gluten sensitive, these would not be good products. But for someone who's not gluten sensitive, 1 tortilla shell, which you can use to roll up a variety of things, has 19 grams of carbohydrate, but 15 of those grams of carbohydrate are coming from fiber. This means that 1 tortilla shell only has a net gram of 4 grams of carbohydrate. That's very low. So as we mentioned in the last video, if you are following a higher carbohydrate diet, more grains, a lot of fruit, maybe more starches, you will want to keep your fat on the lower side, and probably 40 grams or less a day is plenty. If you are following a lower carbohydrate diet, you are probably going to want to keep your carbs somewhere between 50 and 100 in a day. So you have more flexibility with the amount of fat. You have less flexibility with the amount of fat here. So hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to commit 100% to one or the other, but just keep in mind that when you are following a higher carb diet, the fat should be limited. When you're following a higher fat, higher protein diet, the carbs need to be a little bit less. And either way, you're going to get the end result of releasing stored body fat. So do what works for you.